Sarah Platt's relationship with police officer Kit Green is now being turned against her as she continues to serve time in prison in Coronation Street. Sarah, played by Tina O'Brien, was jailed earlier this year after DS Lisa Connor Swain, portrayed by Vicky Myers, gathered enough evidence to establish that Sarah was responsible for the death of Theo Silverton, played by James Cartwright. Since arriving in prison, Sarah has gradually become acquainted with fellow inmate Kacey. However, their developing friendship has taken a disturbing turn, leaving Sarah facing another difficult situation behind bars. In the latest episode of the ITV soap, Kacey revealed that her son had been arrested on suspicion of armed robbery. She then asked Sarah to contact Kit and persuade him to intervene on her son's behalf. Sarah explained that she could not make such a request to Kit, especially given the current state of their relationship. Her refusal immediately exposed a much darker side to Kacey, who was clearly unhappy that Sarah would not cooperate. Sarah's problems were further complicated by the unexpected return of Todd Grimshaw, played by Gareth Pierce, who had traveled back to Weatherfield after spending time abroad. Before Todd left Weatherfield, his close friendship with Sarah had completely broken down. Todd had discovered that Sarah was responsible for killing Theo, and he was furious because her actions had denied him the chance to see Theo face the consequences for the abuse he had suffered. However, Todd's time away appears to have given him the opportunity to reconsider his feelings. Although he seemed noticeably different when interacting with people such as Mary Taylor, George Shuttleworth, and Christina Boyd, the trip ultimately helped him reach a decision about his relationship with Sarah. Todd decided that he wanted to put the past behind him and repair their friendship. Sarah was understandably relieved when Todd made it clear that he was prepared to forgive her. For a brief moment, it appeared that she had finally gained some emotional support during an incredibly difficult period. Unfortunately, that relief did not last. Kacey's warning has placed Sarah in a deeply uncomfortable position. She has effectively threatened Sarah, making it clear that there could be consequences if she refuses to help with her son's situation. Sarah knows that reporting Kacey to Kit or another police officer could potentially put her in even greater danger while she remains inside prison. At the same time, staying silent could allow Kacey to continue intimidating her. Feeling trapped, Sarah phones Todd and explains what has happened. Todd listens to her concerns and eventually tells her that if she refuses to speak to Kit herself, he will do it on her behalf. But Todd's decision could have serious consequences. If he becomes involved, he could unintentionally make Sarah's situation even more dangerous. On the other hand, stepping in might be the only way he can protect his friend from Kacey's threats. Will Todd tell Kit everything he has learned and put Sarah's safety at risk? Or could his intervention ultimately protect her from a potentially dangerous enemy behind bars? Lauren points out that Ollie could face serious consequences if the cheating is discovered. However, Ollie remains confident that he knows exactly what he is doing and insists that everything will be fine. But with the secret game involving marked cards, suspicious guests, and a potentially explosive situation, Ollie may soon discover that winning is the least of his problems. Will Idris and Ollie manage to pull off their carefully planned scam? Or will someone uncover the truth before they have a chance to walk away with the money? Coronation Street Christmas storyline confirmed as Richie Starr hints at major return. Richie Parkinson's story could be far from finished, with a major festive storyline seemingly on the horizon. When it comes to making an immediate impression, Coronation Street newcomer Richie Parkinson, played by veteran soap villain Nathan Sussex, certainly hasn't wasted any time. Richie arrived in Weatherfield as the cousin of Tim Metcalf, played by Joe Dutine, and the pair quickly began rebuilding their relationship after spending a considerable amount of time apart. Their reunion initially seemed fairly harmless. The cousins enjoyed a booze-filled night together, with Richie leaving before Tim's wife Sally, played by Sally Diniver, returned home and discovered just how much the two men had been drinking. However, Richie's seemingly carefree visit soon became much more complicated. After returning to his own home, Richie was thrown out by his wife Rachel, who was furious that he had not only stayed away, but had also failed to tell her where he had been or what he had been doing. Despite being less than impressed with the situation, Sally agreed to let Richie stay on their sofa once again. The following day, Richie explained to Tim that he was considering traveling to Liverpool to stay with a friend. Tim encouraged his cousin to return home instead and try to repair his troubled marriage with Rachel. Unfortunately, that decision quickly became one that Tim would deeply regret. After Richie returned home, Tim discovered that his cousin had accidentally left his wallet wedged between the cushions of the sofa. He decided to take it back to Richie's house, unaware that the visit would completely change his life. When Richie opened the door, Tim was horrified to discover that his cousin was wearing a shirt covered in blood. Moments later, he made an even more disturbing discovery when he found Rachel's dead body inside the property. That is certainly a dramatic amount of action to introduce into a character's first couple of weeks on the cobbles. Richie was subsequently arrested over Rachel's death, leaving viewers wondering whether his role in the story had already reached its conclusion. However, Nathan Sussex's recent comments suggest that there could be much more to come. The actor has spoken enthusiastically about joining Coronation Street and becoming part of one of Britain's most recognizable television institutions. Speaking to BBC Wales, Sussex reflected on the experience of walking along the famous Weatherfield cobbles and explained how much the program means to audiences. He also suggested that Richie's storyline could remain important for several more months, potentially taking the character right into the show's Christmas episodes. Sussex explained that actors joining the soap are generally given an outline of their character's story, although they are not necessarily told every detail of what will happen. As Richie's storyline is still developing, he admitted that he only knows what is planned up to a certain point. Despite keeping the details secret, the actor revealed that he has been given an indication that the storyline could have a major festive hook. Sussex even admitted that appearing on Coronation Street on Christmas Day would be a dream for him. He joked about viewers watching him on screen while enjoying their Christmas chocolates and sweets, although he stressed that he could not confirm exactly what would happen. His comments are particularly intriguing because many viewers may have assumed that Richie's story had reached its conclusion following his arrest. But with the actor teasing a potentially significant Christmas storyline, it seems increasingly likely that the murder plot has plenty more twists waiting to unfold. Richie is now behind bars, while Rachel is dead, leaving Tim and Sally to deal with another devastating consequence of the situation. The couple have taken in Rachel and Richie's daughter, Lucy, played by Anya Dewan. The teenager witnessed the horrifying events surrounding her mother's death and has been left deeply traumatized by everything she has experienced. Lucy desperately wants to see her father, but Tim and Sally have been forced to refuse her requests after receiving advice from social services. As the days pass, it is becoming increasingly obvious that Lucy's emotional struggles could prove extremely challenging for her new foster family. The teenager is already finding it difficult to trust Tim and Sally, while Tim is keeping certain information from her in an attempt to protect her. Sally, meanwhile, is becoming increasingly concerned that hiding the truth could eventually make Lucy's situation even more difficult. If Nathan Sussex is correct that Richie's storyline will continue towards Christmas, it raises another major question. How important will Lucy become over the next few months? Could the traumatized teenager become central to the next stage of the storyline? And what other shocking revelations might emerge as Tim and Sally attempt to navigate this frightening new chapter? For now, viewers will have to wait and see how Richie's story develops, and whether his apparent Christmas comeback turns into one of the soap's biggest festive surprises. The following article contains spoilers from the Coronation Street episode dated August 17. It is not yet aired on ITV1, although it is available to watch on ITVX and YouTube.